What up, everybody? We are here in Cards and Culture for another episode of the Up and In Show with my dude Peyton North.
How we doing?
Hey, I'm a little disappointed that you turned the music off. I was vibing. I like it.
Man, I was vibing too. I know.
Vibes are high. I'm excited, man. Thank you for the time. I know you got a lot of things going on. And we're just starting our journey together. So I'm excited about this conversation. I feel like we are going to sit here and talk about some spacey shit. So you're an artist, you're a creator, you're from indeed. Baton Rouge. And you did a live painting here for the Super Bowl show. So I would like for you to introduce yourself. I see you so many different ways, but I'm sure you see yourself in a certain way. So kind of let everybody know who you are, what you do, and that kind of stuff.
My name is Peyton North. But I feel like I'm just a vessel in this life. Like our names are just something that people call us by, but my goal is to be remembered as the epitome of art of all like mediums, really. I think it's the most powerful way to talk to people. And nothing I do is about me, Peyton North. It's all about the message, which is positivity. And like our talents are what is like the mailman delivery, and the light is the message. And so dude, we are going to just like, you're one of the most interesting people that I've met in a long time. And I say that very complimentary because to me, for a lot of things, I can see people and be like, oh, this is what you do. This is what you're about. I get it. Right. And not that I don't get it with you, but I think I do get it. Mm-hmm. And it's more like, bro, I speak your language. I get, you know what I'm saying? This is my creation, my artistic, thing with, I believe in the same thing that we're here as a vessel to communicate something. So where does you said the light, the message, where does your message and light come from? I think it's being a reflection like that. If there's anything that I aspire to be, it is to be a reflection of the world around me in terms of like positive energy comes into me, I put my signature on it, positive energy comes out. Yeah. Negative energy comes into me, I put my signature on it, positive energy comes out. Yeah. So being a transitioner of energy and a conductor of energy, because energy can't be created nor destroyed, it can only be transformed. And like no matter what happens, what you see, what's around you, that's energy that is being absorbed into you. So how do you disperse of that energy when to live?
All right, so I got something for you. Ready? Because I agree. I couldn't agree more, and I feel like again, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I've always appreciated art. I collect art. I buy art. I sell art. But I've never actually put pen to paper, and I've always thought I was a good artist. Like, no joke. Like, even when I was a kid, I was like, man, I think I can draw, but I just didn't have confidence, right? And I always saw other people's work, and I compared myself to it. Something I've been doing lately is sketching. How do you transfer emotion into art? That's an energy, emotion into art.
You just don't stop moving.
I love it. Like with the pen, or whatever you're creating. Yeah,
like you can't mess up.
Yeah.
Because like everything is part of the story. Right. Like if I painted this whole thing or drew this whole thing and then the bucket of paint splattered on it, and
part of the story.
Part of the story. That's what it was supposed to look like. So just don't stop.
Yeah. I love that.
And you are an artist, bro. I watched the Instagram stories.
I feel good about it. I feel good. And my sketches are getting better. And just like anything else in the world, it's like if you dedicate time to it, if you're passionate about it or you're interested in it, right? You can get better. You can do things. And that's what I think art is for a lot of people. Like, it's like, oh, I can't do that. You start with that barrier, like that mindset of like, oh, that's so cool, but I could never do that. But if you just were like, fuck it, let's try it. Maybe I can do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. And that's kind of where I'm at with sketching of like, I just always felt like I was a doodler, a sketcher, whatever. When I was a kid in high school and everything, I would just kind of like draw stuff. So I was like, fuck it, I'll start with that. And then something I think you and I connect on, like I have a lot of thoughts up here, like just good, bad, and different, all these things. So I was like, how can I take some of these thoughts that I don't want to resonate with or associate with or identify with and transfer them to the paper without using other behaviors, if that makes sense, right? So sometimes I have I don't want to say demonic thoughts, but I have thoughts in my brain that don't align with who I want to be as a man, right? And maybe those get exercised through behaviors, whether that's going out partying, drinking, maybe having sex, right? All these different things. How can I transfer those types of behaviors to the canvas and have it be like a healthier outlet? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that the transfer itself of however you feel in those emotions to the canvas is the healthy outlet.
Okay. That's what I wanted to hear. That's it. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter how it comes out. It's the expression of what I'm feeling.
Yeah. Like that goes to the thing. Like my one rule for my art is you can't mess up.
Yeah.
Like that if the paint thing.
Yep.
So like you can always come back to it whether you had a terrible day or an amazing day. Whether you're crying while you're painting or whether you're like, whoa, this is fucking sick.
Yeah.
It's always a place for you to come to, and that place and that transfer and that relationship with yourself and the whatever the medium is in front of you is like the best. That is the connection, transfer, all that.
Yes. I fucking love it, man. Like I swear, I feel like I want to. How old are you?
23. How
did you get this confident or have this realization or this enlightenment at 23? Like to wear what you're wearing because you drew it. It's an expression of you, you know, or you painted it, and you don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you get to that point so early in your life?
Okay, why can I or anybody? Why? Like, I had this realization. It was like 2019. Like, why can I not live the coolest life out of anybody that's ever lived in the history of mankind? Out of anybody that has ever fucking lived, why can I not have the absolute best life? I believe in like different parallel universes. Like there's a Anthony who's a ditch digger. There's an Anthony who owns Cards and Culture. There's an Anthony who is the most like your highest self. Why can't I pick the best fucking one?
You can.
I do.
You create it. Yeah.
Right.
And it's your version. It's subjective to you and your experience. That's the thing that I think is so dope. But like, I feel like that mindset, how did you learn that? How did you come to that realization and believe it, right? Because there's people, and for everybody who's watching, and my dog might hop in this video, she's been hanging out in the shop, but I feel like young kids, right? Like they feel like that. And when we're young, we have this imagination and we have this creativity, right? And we're 4 or 5 years old and we're like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And nobody shoots you down, right? You're just like, yeah, keep dreaming, you know? But then you get older and you're like, oh, well, this doesn't really, it's not realistic or whatever. You start telling yourself these thoughts. I have to get a job. I have to fall in this line. I have to do this. How the fuck did you get to that point in 2019 when you were whatever?
Dude, I think, well, I was at a really low point and my friend, he told me, just say the words, I am amazing, I will do amazing things, and nobody can stop me. And I'm like, all right, dude, whatever. Right, yeah. And then he's like, I mean, if you're at your lowest point, what you got to lose? Right. I was like, okay. Yep. So then I would say it like right whenever I get out of the shower, and then I'll be like, I'm amazing, I'll do amazing things. Nobody can stop me. Then you start to like slowly believe it, then you start to know it, then you become it.
Yeah.
And like, that, it all, okay, like, you got to live with yourself, die with yourself, cry with yourself, all in the mirror. So, like, who else's opinion fucking matters?
Right.
Because if we're on the earth together at the same time, like, your story is your story, my story is my story, and every single invention or great idea or vision started in the head of just one person at one time. So, like, how can you tell me how to live my life?
Yeah, no, I love that. It's just the thing that, like, for me, from my story personally, right? Like, I played baseball. I grew up, you know, in this structured environment. It was so hard for me to let go of that shit, you know, of like, Anthony is this person, he does this. And when you're successful when you do this, and when you hit this box and this metric, and you look like this, and you talk like this, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, it was really, really hard. And it's really something, that's why I'm asking questions, is because I feel like I'm putting my version on it, my spin on it, you know, I'm still learning, but I feel like breaking free from those molds was one of the best things that I ever did, and it allowed me to do all this shit, you know, and like meet people like yourself. And that's the thing that I think about energy is so amazing, is it's contagious, right? Like you attract what you are and what you're attracted to and what you're focusing on and where you're putting your attention. So it's like, there's no coincidence that you and I are on this couch having this conversation, because at some points in this realm, like you said, this universe, this parallel universe, we were going to cross paths. Like our energy was going to be like, it's like to me, it's like radio towers of frequency, you know?
I was just about to say the frequencies attract and they align.
Exactly. And it's just like, if we're in this area, like, you know, not even, now with social media, it doesn't have to be in this area, right? It's just like, like, I don't know why I followed this person, but like, you know, I just did. I was attracted to them. That's frequency, right?
And
like,
I feel
no matter
like
what.
the FBI has algorithms that like get your like
they definitely do.
vibes together.
Like, these motherfuckers are crazy. Look at my dog. She's just pooping on the rug right now.
Nice.
That's unbelievable. That's why she was crying.
I'm really with the shits.
Oh my God. Now you're going to come over here? Now you're going to come over here? That's unbelievable. After you just emptied the tank? On the rug? Don't sit on the couch. No. Go sit down for a little while. Guys, this is unbelievable. Go sit down.
Raw and uncut.
Don't wipe it on the rug. No, go sit down. This is unbelievable. This is great. This is great footage. But hey, like art, this is what's happening right now.
It's part of the story.
And she's literally getting shit. KP. I'm so sorry. Oh man. Never mind.
Authenticity. Can you just maybe call Lila and just have her get out of here for a second? Go.
But that's, I mean, even this kind of stuff, right? Like, so this is a perfect example. When I first started this podcast, if something like that happened, I would have melted. I've been like, well, I saw it going this way and it's got to be this way. I'm wasting Peyton's time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's literally when that started happening and she started shitting, that was my first thought. And I had to catch myself and be like, bro, this is the epitome of the opportunity to sit here and be like, this is just the present moment. Like, we have a choice how to react to that dog
That's
shitting
so
on the
true,
love.
man.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's so true.
So I think it's a perfect like the reason I'm going to keep this in the episode is
keep
because
the shit on the ground.
Right? Literally, yeah. Like it sucks, kind of smells a little bit right now, but it's one of those things that I think it's like so authentic to us and like what we're talking about right now. You know?
I love it. Something that I think you and I resonate with too is that, like you said, you had this mold of being an athlete that you had to be the certain way. And then when you broke those molds, like I used to play soccer from 11 to 17. I played competitive soccer. And having that like discipline and athletic mold allowed me to, once I got out of that, to apply that same mindset, the same determination, that same fire to areas of creativity that is not a game with rules.
I love that. You take the same learned behavior and just apply it in a different way.
Exactly.
That's fucking, I love that. I mean, and now that you're saying that, this is why I love interviews, man. It's like you're 23 years old, I'm 32 years old, and I'm still learning from you because that's something that I do, but I've never articulated it that way. You know what I'm saying? Like I do the same thing with all business and all that stuff, but it's just like learned behavior channeled differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. I fuck with that. And the reason I think we resonate things too. Your mom told me you went to Catholic High?
Yeah.
So a little backstory. Before I met Peyton, I actually was on his mom's show. She has a great show, and it's a Baton Rouge show, right?
Yeah, like Rocket Right TV.
Yeah, dude, it was unbelievable. She was talking about Peyton, how he's an artist, and like he would love my shop, all this different stuff. And then I organically met Peyton through the girl that I was dating at the time. She was helping us with looking for some local artists and stuff, and that's how we connected. So I think it's
frequency,
like,
man.
Dude, frequency is nuts.
Crazy.
Yeah, man. But
it's crazy that it's like frequency of energy, but it's frequency, okay, bear with me here. Frequency of energy, like you and I, but then frequency of like we're talking into a microphone that picks up frequencies.
Yes, like everything is like some sort of frequency, and that's what I'm like. And it's a spectrum, right? Like, and it comes and goes, like most things. Like that's why radio signals come and go, and that's why frequency comes and goes depending on where you're at mentally. And this is something that I knew we were gonna like vibe too, because there's times where I'm busy and I'll text you and you'd be like, bro, it don't matter. Like it's going to happen when it's supposed to. Mm-hmm. And to me, that took a lot of pressure off of me, of our relationship, of like feeling like I needed to create something. And it taught me something in that moment too, of like, you have awareness, you have perception, like perception abilities to understand like, this is bigger than trying to get a podcast or one piece of art in here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like this is a movement type thing. And like, we align in that sense. So I've always appreciated that about you too, of like, I feel like you understand a lot of things that I say and do and things like that too, which is rare, mm-hmm. I feel like people don't always understand that stuff.
Something that I feel like you and I could grow to a better understanding together is like how just what you said about the timing of like trying to get this on time. And then I believe that everything happens on time regardless. Like if it's meant to be, it'll happen. And if it doesn't happen, you weren't missing anything because it wasn't meant to be. So, like, time doesn't fucking exist.
I agree.
Like, even the workout we do of, like, whenever I came to work out with you at the time, and it's like, 30-second, 50-second intervals and stuff like that, and how people start, or whenever you have to get to work and you're 5 minutes late and you get yelled at, but that shit doesn't exist to me. Like, we change time, like daylight savings time, that we completely change our whole 24-hour system on and just skip an hour or right. Take an hour back. And to me, that just is bullshit. Like, just live your life on time, because you're always on time, because everything happens on time, in time.
Couldn't agree more. And once you have that, now granted, right? Like people are gonna be like, yeah, well, what about like, you have to be certain places, right? Like certain events happen. Like time was created for structure so people can like organize things. But what you're saying is exactly right. Is like, as long as you understand that, and understand even like, hey, today's podcast was at 1 p.m. And if you're running late, the only feelings that you're having about that are just feelings tied to that idea, right? Oh, so-and-so was expecting me here. Now they're going to be mad and it's making me feel a certain way, right? Well said. Really, if you just understand that's what it is, like that feeling is not as strong or as serious, and it's really not that big of a deal in the whole grand scheme of life, right? And all these things.
That reminds me of Kobe Bryant talking about missing free throws. He said at the end of the game, like, why do people get so nervous at the end? Because it's like, oh, if I miss this, I'm going to let my team down.
Right.
Well, the team, they come to practice every day. They're going to be there for you. It's like, well, if I miss this, Twitter's going to hate me.
Yep.
They'll get over it.
Right.
And then, like, when you take away those anxiety that is just, like, I liked how you said that about the emotions surrounding that idea. Once you could take that away and almost detach yourself from it, of like, this is just a player taking a shot, and then that's you can succeed.
Dude, I fucking love that. And it's like, it's the same thing that you did in the first quarter when there was 10,000 less people in the stands because they hadn't gotten there yet, and the free throw doesn't matter. It's the exact same movement pattern,
same thing.
Just a different point in time. And the only reason that the time matters is because, like you said, there's expectations behind it. There's things that are attached to it that make people feel a certain way.
This is the last shot.
Exactly. That's fucking nuts. I love that. I cool, equate that to when I played baseball, right? And so sometimes there's this thing called the yips. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but it's like golfers go through it. It's when a free throw shooter just airballs a free throw over and over again. And it's like, it's the most easiest thing that you've done repeated, but all of a sudden you forget how to do it, right? So for me, it was literally playing catch a close distance. I'd be like, oh man, I'm going to hurt him, or I might throw it too fast, or what if I throw it over his head and he has to go run and get it, right? It was the same throw that I do a million times. It was just like, I all of a sudden had all this energy, this emotion around this same thing that I've done a million times, right? It was just like, what if something goes bad? And that put me in this like,
it locks you.
Exactly. And
that's crazy. I never heard of that, but I can definitely relate that to a couple of times in my life. That exact same thing happened.
I would imagine in your world, it would be like artist block, right? Like if you can create all the shit you want when you're creative and you're free, but the second somebody's like, I want this picture this way at this time in this space, and you're like, oh fuck, okay, now I got to perform, right? Because there's an expectation. I've heard that from artists and writers and things like that, right? People write books or novels, and then all of a sudden a company comes in and pays them, and they're sitting at the computer and their brain's not fucking working, And it's because all of a sudden their creativity is stripped, or they think it is, because it has to fit into this person's expectations, and they're getting paid under this assumption, So that's, to me, is one of the most amazing things to understand around like stress, emotion, anxiety, depression, that kind of stuff.
I understand the concept you're saying. I don't necessarily, okay, like whenever you invited me to do the Super Bowl thing, that was the most people that I've ever painted in front of.
Yeah.
And I was like, at first, like a little whatever, but then I was like, dude, like that shit, I just do whatever I do. People don't even give a fuck what I'm painting. They just want to see a show.
Exactly.
They just want to, so I was like, just fucking do it. Or like whenever, for rapping, it's like that expectation or that anxiety, or like where the creativity is stripped, that's just fear. Your creativity is like never stripped. It's just like the emotion behind
Exactly right.
And like, what if this was your last time? What if I like you died right after? Yeah. Or like there was a clip on Instagram, singer dude came up and gave him a note. It was from the Cartel, said you're gonna die after this performance.
Oh my God.
You better sing your fucking heart out, man. Like, right. Just have fun with that shit.
To be scared. Yeah, right. Exactly.
And so it's like, man, just what does that shit even matter? Just fucking do it. Yep. Like, just live.
And once you understand that fear system, like you said, that to me that's all it is. And once you can disassociate from the fear, and that's where I was talking about a bunch of other emotions, but it all stems from the fear. And for me, it's either fear or love, or whatever you want to say, like joy, happiness, like whatever, right? Fear or love. And you have two choices to look at things. Fear comes from a survival standpoint and a primitive brain standpoint. As humans, we developed this system to protect us. And that's what it's for. But that system was developed in humans when we didn't have society, right? Like all these different things. It was literally to not die the next day so you could provide food for your family. Now we have those same things going on in our brain, but it's from a text message. It's from, like you said, somebody's thoughts on Twitter about me, right? That creates fear, and then it makes somebody's behaviors change because of that. And they're either projecting the fear or the protection, right? Like they're putting stuff out there to say, I'm not scared, I'm tough, I'm whatever, right? Or you're literally like, no, this is me, I'm creative and I don't care. Like I'm vulnerable. Sometimes I'm sad, sometimes I'm hurt, sometimes I'm whatever, right?
See, no one said that you weren't scared to be brave.
Say that again?
Nobody said that you weren't scared to be brave. Every warrior about to die in battle is scared, but they still running.
Yes, exactly. And it's about recognizing the fear and going through with it, right?
Yeah, because everything you want is right on the other side of fear.
Exactly.
And
yep. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But that's one of the things that I feel like I've been playing with so much. And usually if something does scare me, even people, right? Sometimes I think if people scare me, like I'm like, dude, I don't know what it is about this person, but I got a little gut feeling. In a good or a bad way, I'm like, I want to explore it. Like normally I would be like, ooh, bad vibes, I'm going to run away. I don't know what it is. But now I'm like, you want to go get a coffee? Like, like let me figure this out. Like maybe it's just my fear system telling me something about this person, but you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? But maybe if I go get this coffee, I realize that they were just scared of me and we just put those walls down and now we have this great relationship.
Yeah, it might have been like judging a book by its cover.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
And I think I learned that from my tattoos. I never really experienced people, except for like that I'm just bigger than people, and sometimes that intimidates people, but I kind of learned to deal with that. It was when I got tattoos and people treated me differently because of them that I was like,
did people like give you less slack?
Yeah, exactly. And like kind of just judgment, and it was like, oh, that's just fear. You don't understand that this is an expression of me and it's beautiful art. You were taught when you were younger that only prison or inmates and felons and gang members get tattoos. So that's your conditioning. That's your fear system telling you, tattoo, bad person. That's okay. I can deal with you now. You know what I'm saying? I can understand you. And also have some feelings about myself. And when I see somebody and do little judgments, little things here and there, right? Whatever that is to me, everybody's different. But it's taught me a lot about the way that I view the world and the way that the world views me too, and how that relates to fear.
That's fact. And you have I don't know, I would like to use the word responsibility, but that's kind of a strong word for anybody that meets you that has those premeditated notions about tattoos, about people with tattoos. When they meet you and you're like a nice guy, you're an opening guy, it's like, oh wow, now you just brought somebody out of ignorance.
Bro, that's literally one of the things that I love. Even the gym. That's one of the things I'm like, yo, people see, if they look at the thing, wow, there's a lot of good looking people. They're really in shape. Like, I can't do those workouts. They're probably going to be so judgmental. They're going to be mean to me. They're going to think blah, 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 right? And then when you come in the door, I give you a big hug and I'm like, dude, look, I did this fucking gray weight yesterday. I couldn't even do this exercise. That little bit like deflating people, it creates this different experience where now we're reprogramming their brains. Oh, workouts with good looking people are okay. Workouts with strong people are okay. In a fitness environment like that I'm not really used to, it's okay, right? Like, so you're kind of just reprogramming that mind. And that's why, like, I love that. Like, I really do. I'm like, oh, you think I'm going to be a badass and I'm going to fucking yell at you and beat the shit out of you? Like, actually, I'm going to hug you and tell you I love you. And you're like, oh, wow, well, this is interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love flipping that script on people like that. And they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah, I love that. Dude, I love these conversations because it's cool that you understand that, you pick up on that, and you even just like get me going on a lot of the things that I'm passionate about.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about the rap career now. Like, we've talked a little bit about the art and creating yourself. How did rapping come up into this and like into that mix? Was that one of your first things?
Nah, I started rapping at 16. I quit soccer. Like, I played competitive soccer, like state championship contender, like one of the better teams in the South. Quit soccer through, honestly, some like coach bullshit that I want to regret. I would love to go back and play like still.
Right.
But I started rapping because my parents were always fighting, and my mom and stepdad, and never had anybody to talk to. So I moved into our attic. Like, we had a downstairs and the upstairs wasn't renovated, so it was just a skeleton. So it's like basically just an attic, and I lived up there, and for like 4 years, and I had no one to talk to, so a microphone has to fucking listen to me.
Yeah.
So like,
I love that.
That's what I did, and also I was really inspired by NWA of like Ice Cube, like it's in your face. It's raw. It's like, fuck you and I don't care.
Yeah.
And like that of just being real, because it was like just emotions felt, and then people like going to Catholic, they want to refine you, and they have a 24/7 policy. So if you do some shit away from school, you can get trouble at school. Man, fuck that shit. I'm turned up. That's how I felt. And it gave me like, you can be free in this life. Mm-hmm. They're doing it. I'm going to do it too.
I love that. And I'm glad you brought up your Catholic high school and everything. I didn't know the 24/7 thing because I went to Catholic elementary school, Catholic high school too. And it was like, it wasn't until I was really in the middle of pro ball, I'm done with pro ball, that I was like, damn, this Catholic, like this structure shaped me a lot. And like, you know what I'm saying? And into these conditioned thoughts and beliefs and stuff. So I love that your motivation was like, breaking free from that structure. And like, I don't have to do this. Like,
Yeah, I didn't go to a Catholic feeder school. So whenever I got there, I was like, Catholic's not going to break me, per se.
Yeah.
But like, upon leaving, I was glad that I went, because it gave me like critical thinking skills that once I got out, I realized that a lot of other people didn't learn in high school.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
That is cool.
So yeah, fuck the 24/7 thing, but I'm glad y'all helped me.
I'm with it. What's your take on, this is going to be spacey, but we're talking about Catholic religion. What's your take on religion and spirituality and that kind of stuff?
It's evolved so much over the last couple of years. I think that I believe in spirits. I believe in the energy around me. I believe in spirits that you can't necessarily see, and energy you can't necessarily see, but it's there and it's all around. And yeah, we'll leave it at that for now. With religion, I think that it's a way for people to live their life based on certain guidelines, and a way for people to cope with the life around them. And they say, and like, I believe in miracles, but I also believe that, like, okay, example, friends, we were talking about the other day was, I don't know the book, but he said in the Bible there was people built a tower, and they tried to build a tower to heaven, and it fell down, and God spread everybody out and made everybody speak different languages after that, because they tried to get to heaven and tried to do that. Okay, so did it really happen like that? Or did these people build a tower, the tower fell, and they wanted a reason to cope with the fact of why that tower fell, because it might have been something structural, or it could have been genuinely, like, who am I to say, that they were trying to reach to heaven and God said, nah, y'all gonna all speak different languages now, poof.
Yep.
Who am I to say?
Right.
But I think that it's like, I like to hear about like proverbial stories and stuff like that, and then how does that relate to, like, logistically, how could that happen? And then also spiritually, how could that have happened? Okay.
Dude, I think you did it. I think you said it perfectly, honestly. I think religion is a faith-based structure for people to fall into when things get hard, and to deal with the human experience, right? Like, we're all here, and to be human is to feel emotions and to respond and to build these systems, right? And I think faith and religion and things like that are the best strategies for people to fall into. I should say the easiest, right? Like for the mind, for people to fall into as a group. And I think community is really important, right? As humans. So I think that religion was like an easy way to kind of like group people together. And I think that as greed and money and things evolved, so did the way that we controlled people, you know? And that's the only thing that I don't like about religion now.
Two things. I do, like, on this topic, I do believe in the creator. To me, the creator is energy, and I live through positive energy. Like that's what I aspire, like, energy all around us, that's the creator to me, period. But talking about religion, anything that is, okay, religion is an interpretation of what we think God wants us to be, wants us to say, right? Or whatever higher power. Anything that that is controlled by man will be flawed. So when people say, I don't personally agree with, like, you need to talk to this other man who bleeds like you to talk to God.
Yeah.
I think that's bullshit.
I agree.
And I like anything when people get into these, you can divide people and conquer people through saying this is what God wants, and it's really just man's agenda.
Yep.
And that is something that I'm very conscious of, especially in like growing up in the Western culture of being raised primarily around Christianity. Like, there's so many other religions, belief systems that are all around the world that are way older than Christianity, but we don't give it any look of the day or any time of the day. Or how come I think this goes back to the interpretation of like the higher self is like wherever you go in the world, they have that race Jesus. Yeah. Like we have white Jesus, but Jesus was from the Mediterranean. He wasn't a white dude. Yep. So it's just like,
I feel like every religion has a very similar story, and every Jesus for us, right, has its own name in their religion, or the way that they kind of idolize something, right, or have some sort of structure in their story and their parables, their storytelling. And that's the thing that I was like, I think all religion serves the same purpose for humanity, but I think that greed and control affect that a lot, and that's where I think we need to stop being so dependent on that for our children to be raised, and let them be more creative and free-spirited and open. And then as they get older, decide what faith they want to, fall into. But I don't think it should be conditioned as a child. Those are my beliefs. I think there's structure and things that are good for a child, but I think more creative ways to do that are better,
Yeah, like I think a better way to go about it would be to teach children about all the religions. I mean, there's a lot, but to teach them about, from an early age, the principles and embracing of other people. Because now when you get older, you have people who hate somebody else just because they're a different religion. And that's so fucking stupid.
It's the acceptance of it. So you can, I got taught stuff, but it was more just like, well, this is just what they do. You know what I'm saying? And it's like created, like you talk about divide and conquer. It's like, that's them. That's a different religion. That's a different race. That's what this part of the country or world does, right? Like, and to me, it's like, no, we're all humans. It's just like, this is where you're raised, and this is what you culturally believe, and this is, and for me, I think a lot of our race issues and our systemic issues stem from that, right? Like just not understanding the other side. It's a fear thing, and if you don't understand the other side or the other religion or the other race, you're going to be fearful and protective of yours and things like that, right? And like what belongs to you, your values, your systems. And that to me is what concerns me about our society going forward. Is it's so strict in that kind of stuff versus educating, like you said, about so many other things and instilling acceptance. It might not be what you're going to do or the way you want to be, like for you, but you can still accept it and understand it, so that way it doesn't create this turmoil and animosity and hate inside.
A lot of the differences should be a conversation instead of an argument.
Yes, wow.
And like whenever you, I think I read this somewhere today, like whenever you like close the door to certain perspectives in a conversation, you create a bias. Yeah. So now you're not even really having you're having a secret because you're not letting other people get it. Talk about whatever we're talking about.
And like you said, if you're in an argument, sometimes you have that blinder on of like, this is my view, and you don't even share the other side, the other perspective. You can't even have a healthy conversation. You can't even be, your perspective can't even change when you're in that mode.
Because you have your heels dug in the ground and you got to win. It's me versus you now instead of we're talking about
competition versus collaboration, right? Like that's where it's like, what's your thing? Oh, okay, cool. But have you tried it this way? Cool. What about this? Like, maybe I could try it that way, like versus trying to tell people how to do stuff or whatever.
Man, and racism is ignorance. And the way to combat ignorance is by conversation.
I agree.
And I went to Spanish Town, and Spanish Town Parade, and I went with a buddy who's Hispanic, and honestly, like for me personally, if you're white and say the N-word, I fucking hate you. I don't fucking hate you. I don't want to say that, but I fucking despise that ignorance because of where that word came from and how it's used. And the amount of racism that is still here, still present, fucking day before yesterday, is honestly unbelievable. But it comes from people not knowing. Like I said this a while back, and I wonder how it evolves now, is that this is not necessarily isolated to this, but I think that from a lot of it, like racism was a rich man's game to be played by the poor. Like poor black people and poor white people live on the same street and hate each other, but fucking shop at the same store and still have nothing. We both have nothing. So if I don't have something, like, I gotta hate you for some reason, like just because there's gotta be something, right?
Exactly.
Or
no, that I couldn't agree more too, dude. And that's like, once you pit things against different sides and you're just like living in that, like you said, like a rich man's game, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I can see that perspective.
That's not to say that there's not racism as wealth increases, but
I get it. I get it. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I'm with you, man. And so what's your approach to, because I know what I believe and that kind of stuff, but like, what's your approach to the way that the world can get better in that sense? Is it, like you said, through conversation, through trying to understand?
Yeah, it's through talking to people and through speaking up. Like, if you want to know who overrules you, ask who you are not allowed to criticize.
If you want to know who overrules you,
ask who you're not allowed to criticize.
Ah, yeah, very cool. Yeah.
So, like,
somebody who's going to tell you can't criticize something is the one that's trying to
like, we're not supposed to criticize the government. We're not supposed to say fuck the police. Why not? You're not supposed to say that.
I know. Yeah.
So it's like,
that's when it's like that they're the ones trying to control you, exercise the control, right? By not and you'll learn who's trying to control you by the things that you can't do or say, right? Like, or whatever.
And when I say fuck the police, I don't say fuck anybody that put on a uniform that's trying to make a better life. I say fuck the police of people who put on that badge to inflict brutality upon other people because they have that badge.
Correct.
So let that be known. And that's really what I'm here for. That's my purpose in this life.
Yeah.
Is to unify people through art with light and bringing people out of ignorance. And like, I look at myself as that, like, I'm the poster boy for white people. I got blonde hair, blue eyes, and look like I fucking do. But I think that to like bring people that look like you and I out of these mindsets that was instilled by demons that are older than time.
Yep.
That's why we're here.
I agree. I agree. And I think that's something, and I love the way you're doing it. And I think everybody's got their own way of doing it, because I think that's something that's important to me with Cards and Culture. I understand my privilege. I understand the things I was given in this world. And I understand the things that aren't given to people in this world. And I understand systemic things that don't allow people to have the things that I've had, you know? So how can we bring opportunity to the world, right? Through my platform, through the things that I have, but also, like you said, educate and inform people that will listen to me, that will look like me, that will, like, right? And it's only going to take people like us to say these things and do these things and exercise these things through our behaviors, our creativity, our passion, our art, all these things, for a lasting change. And it probably is going to, unfortunately, but I think that's why I think it's cool that you're so enlightened on this sense, is like, I think I have a full understanding that in my lifetime, I'm probably not going to see the end of racism, right? Like, I think it's going to be something that's going to take years and years, and like, I'm talking thousands of years, because I think over time we're going to become one race. Like, we're just going to interact and become one race, but it's going to take so much time of understanding that it's okay to mix in with other races and do these things and go to other parts of the world and integrate yourself in their religion and their society and things like that, right? To do those things. And I even saw that when I went to Asia too. That was the crazy part. I know you've said you've practiced some, like, you know, Eastern philosophies and things like that.
I think, okay, on your point about it'll take thousands and thousands of years to end racism, I agree, it probably won't be in our lifetime. But like people say, I forgot who said it. People overestimate what they can do in 10 years, but underestimate what they can do in 1 year.
Yeah.
So people are like, oh man, it's something I can't. I can't. What can I do? And then they don't do anything.
Right.
It's like, okay, if I'm a warrior for peace, then fight for it. So I'll spend my time doing that.
Yep. And that's why I say it in the sense of, like, not in a defeatist mindset, and more of a understanding mindset. Like, so it's one of those things that if I'm doing all these things and living my life to try to promote the ending of racism, and then tomorrow morning I turn on the news and a white police officer shoots a black man, and I get angry and mad and being like, why is racism still here? That's all I'm saying, is like, I'm understanding that, okay, this is just another opportunity to use this story to talk more, right? And that's all I'm saying, is like, I don't get mad when it doesn't happen, you know, and we still deal with the real life things that are showing us that racism is still here. It's more just like having an understanding, like fucking like it makes me mad, it makes me angry, but all right, cool, we still got work to do. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree with you.
You know, that kind of stuff. So it's more like, all right, cool, how are we going to respond to this now?
It's a new opportunity for the conversation.
Yeah. So I don't think it in a sense of like, oh, it's 1,000 years, like we can't do anything now, and I don't want people to think that too. So I'm happy that you corrected me on that, because
well, not corrected but just like I knew what you're saying and the intention behind what you're saying, but
some people might not, and I've seen that too. It'd be like, it's out of our hands. Like, what the fuck am I gonna? You know what I'm saying? Like, so many different things. So, and I think that even comes from that entitled mindset. Like, what am I? Who am I? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like I don't have time for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, type thing.
It's funny how it's like white people have this entitlement about certain things, but then this defeatist mindset that they're not entitled about other things. Like, well, why can't I say the N-word? Why, if everybody else say it, why can't I say it in the song? Why can't I Then it's like, whenever it comes to solving the problem of checking your own people, whenever someone says something racism or racist, it's like, oh, I mean, you know, that's him. He says it. I don't say it. Oh, dog, bitch, I just caught you. Like, I just caught you all the way in that shit. Like, and that's so ignorant. Like, and that right there, of pointing that out to people is it has to be, like, if somebody say it around me, I say, please don't say that around me. But it's like how you approach things, just like we talked about religion, it's not my heels in the ground versus your heels in the ground. It's bringing people in a conversation. So instead of like, if somebody said it and you just punch them in the face, what does that really solve?
Yeah, exactly.
It's an opportunity to like, to bring people out of ignorance.
Yep. And dude, you said it right. It's like, it's a really hard thing to ask, especially friends or people, right? If they say something like that, say that word, use that word, and you have to be like, hey man, I just want to talk to you about this. This is an uncomfortable conversation, but like, don't use that word. And this is why I want to just let you know why I'm telling you about this. Makes me uncomfortable, but this is why I think you can be better too. And I think that if you do this, maybe it'll help somebody else too, you know? And it's a hard conversation. I've had it 2 or 3 times, especially in business, right? Like, it's like you said, it's scary how people think that they have a liberty and a freedom to do and say things. And I'm like, where do you get this from? You know? So it's like, it's a hard conversation to have, but I think, like you said, that plants a seed in their mind. 1, every time they go to use that word, it holds them to a higher standard. But 2, if they hear somebody else, it makes them start paying attention in a different way too, where it's like, oh fuck, that's how ignorant I sound. Like, you know, or whatever. It just might remind them or whatever. So it's tough, but it's little things like that do make a huge difference. So I appreciate you doing your role and your part in that. All right, man. I feel like we've talked like 8 hours. I feel like we could talk 8 hours more, but I'm probably going to wrap this thing up. What about, so what's on the agenda for you? I know you do so many things. You had a great opportunity with, was it New Orleans Fashion Week, and you were on the cover of a magazine, right?
Yeah. So
what's next? You do fashion design, you know, designing stuff. What's on the agenda for 2022?
Man, okay, start hosting events, hosting festivals,
Let's
and like hosting my own art shows, fashion shows, and like I want to host a fair.
Nice.
I want to have like art and funnel cakes and then performers and stuff like that.
Nice.
I want to do the damn thing, like
make
Baton Rouge the hub that it really is.
Yeah. Well, we got a collectible show at the PMAC on Mother's Day weekend. So I think I told you about that. We're going to have a little bit of artists. Maybe we could dip our toe into that together and like just see what we could do next after that, you know, with art and specific like performances stuff. But I want to have like a couple Baton Rouge artists perform on a Friday night there too. And then I'm going to have like actual painters, you know, we're going to have Artist Alley at the thing. So you can come show off your work, your art, and connect with people there in the collector space. So it'll be cool.
Heck yeah.
Let's fucking go. All right, tell everybody where they can find you right now, social media, that kind of stuff. But obviously, you'll be in the shop and all that stuff too.
You can find my information on your mom's nightstand. PeytonNorth, Peyton North with 1 N on Instagram. Y'all should live in the dream. You already know what it is.
Appreciate y'all. Hey, thank you for the time, dude. I'm looking forward to doing this again. Man. This was dope. That's it, KP. That's a wrap. That was dope, man.
Shit, yeah.
I love that. I feel like we gotta have like a.
Ooh, I feel spiritual, man. I feel opened up.